win here, they're going to be over the moon because they know that their dreams of making the playoffs are still very much so alive. They lose here. It's a devastating loss, man. These are the kind of losses that really hurt for these guys. So I'm really excited to see what they will bring to the table. In the top right side, we're looking at the main base of the veteran, the man that's been around since 2010 in StarCraft 2, and before that even played some Brood War. He is hailing from Poland, just like his opponent, representing Team Liquid. It's MaNa.
And he faces off against the blue Protoss player in the northwest. He is Krystianer, representing Team Blazer.
Now, I have to admit, Nate, that I don't always pay super much attention to who vetoes what, especially not at the first or the second play day, because I think it comes down a lot to personal preference. But in an important series like this, I do find it fun. And MaNa actually vetoed both Cosmic Sapphire and Moondance. And those are the only two maps in this map pool that don't have a ramp leading into the natural. So he's basically telling us that he is pretty confident in playing the one gate fast experiment meta. And Krystianer got rid of just two normal ramp into the natural kind of maps. But then we kick things up on Stargazers, and this is kind of like an in-between where you can say there is no ramp leading into the natural, but you do have a free pocket expand. So is it a one-gate map? Is it a two-gate map? Well, both of them are opening up with two-gate, but I thought that's worth pointing out.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ways that we can take it. We've seen plenty of times where you go for that two-gate, you're just using it to kind of be safe, secure the expansion, move forward with things. But you definitely make an interesting point. Defending that type of early attack, when you have the shield battery and a stalker on top of a ramp, you have to risk a lot to go up and get that vision and try and take a little trade or do a little bit of poking. Makes it harder to try and come up and like burst through that with multiple stalkers. So you can do that a little bit more easily when you don't have that ramp to deal with. And Krystianer with that little pylon, he sealed the probe. He sealed the probe of MaNa inside those little mineral patches.
Yep, this is actually very nice because it's not just that one probe is stuck for a long time, it's also the other probe has to go all the way to the back of the mineral patch to mine from it. It's a play we don't see a whole lot anymore, but I don't hate it. I think it's kind of cool, and if you can get it off like this, then I do think it puts you a little bit ahead. I think what's also worth mentioning is that Krystianer is doing the same thing as he has been doing lately, and he is legitimately the only high-level European Protoss that does this opening, and it's Stalker Adept. Now, for the longest time, we always said if you want to make adepts, you need to make two, right? So you can two-shot workers or one-shot workers with two adepts. But Krystianer doesn't make this adept to kill anything. Obviously, if he could, that'd be awesome. But the main point of this adept is just to get some map presence and get some scouting info off, because knowing where your opponent expands and whatnot is very important. But he is legitimately the only one in Europe that opens up like this.
Yeah, that's very interesting to see too. Double Sentry being produced as the follow-up for Krystianer. MaNa's Oracle is almost through, but this little trade in the middle of the map is so... That's just got to be very stress-inducing because you've got only a couple of stalkers. You're taking that real damage, and again, we go back to the point. There's no ramp into this base, so MaNa has to retreat up. There's not really an easy spot to hold here. The rest of the stalkers will finish, but he's got to chill on that main ramp, and even if he has to give up something here, that would be a bit frustrating, but now has the numbers advantage. And this is where it gets interesting on the other side, Roddy, because what is there to deal with the Oracle? 2 sentries. It's not exactly
enough. He
warps
warps in the natural. He just warped 2 stalkers into the natural. If he would have warped these stalkers in the main base, there was absolutely no problem for Krystianer. But he warped the unit 5 and 6 in the natural. And that makes this actually very painful, as this Oracle now just grabs 6 workers, no battery. Everything is revealed. And now MaNa actually has more units on the low ground too. Oh, poor Krystianer, man. He just got punished so severely for just warping in 2 stalkers on the low ground.
Yeah, that's absolutely brutal. 24 probes to 30 is going to continue to chase MaNa stalkers away from the natural. Does pop another one of them, and at the end of it, we've got 6 for Krystianer, 4 for MaNa, but 2 oracles. The second one is now making its way across the field, and he's going to be getting that shield battery in the natural. So MaNa's thinking about the possibility of a counterattack. Hallucinated Phoenix for Krystianer sees the Twilight Council, and this starts to switch gears back into, I'm going to assume for MaNa, probably Blink.
Hey, this is gonna hurt again. Like, the units are a bit out of position. This Oracle grabs 3 probes, got very close to getting number 4 there as well. And now both Oracles are still alive, and MaNa's already killed 9 probes. He did get a bit carried away in the natural. Like, he could have just taken a 4 against 3 fight, kill a stalker and disengage, but then he saw extra units being warped in, and if units are getting warped in, obviously you can't micro them, and they do take a bit of extra damage. So I was like, I can understand that MaNa went for it, but in the end, that was just a mistake. He got a bit carried away and ended up losing one stalker and almost lost the second one. But overall, he's still going to be more than happy with how this game is shaping up 6 minutes in.
Yeah, definitely. And I like pointing that out too, the Oracle kind of being caught in the corner. He's like, I've got you. There's no way out without getting killed. And then it's like, well, actually, if I send a second Oracle in, then all of those units are suddenly in a bad spot. So with the Warp Prism finishing up for Krystianer, does he have to just go for something crazy aggressive? I don't know that opportunity is really there, even with the Prism, because I mean, MaNa's going to have Blink beforehand too.
He just killed an Oracle. We actually just killed an Oracle. Krystianer picked off that one low HP Oracle that tried to escape through his own pocket expand. So getting those shots off is big. Krystianer just wants to do a little bit of economic damage, and this could work out because MaNa's a bit out of position, does not quite have Blink yet. So great move with that Warp Prism. He only had 2 gateways, so he definitely wasn't planning any sort of aggression. But this is already, I think, a very decent amount of damage. You get 2 workers, a lot of lost mining time. In the natural, he's not going to get anything, but yeah, that last 30 seconds, I think, went a lot better for the man who I think with many still considered to be the underdog here. You kill one of the 2 pesky Oracles, and you cause a lot of lost mining time, grab a few workers. I think he's kind of back in it now. He's definitely not ahead yet, but he is kind of back in it.
Yeah, it helps to buy that time for himself. But MaNa going to use the watchtower to get the vision to blink up into the back of the main base. And what is here? Everything for Krystianer is at the front, including the shield battery. There's nothing here actually to help support this. So blinks through. There was a force field to try to lock it down. Now the Oracle coming in to support and help get rid of the sentries. And even if the stalkers are able to get a good trade or hold this off, he's lost so many probes already that MaNa has got to be feeling good. He's going to continue to try and kite back and deal a little bit more damage, make this as painful as possible for Krystianer to defend.
Krystianer actually went for the wrong stalker there, the one stalker that wasn't going to get recalled, but in the end he still got all the low HP stalkers he could have possibly taken down. But yeah, that was of course very painful. I think if the units were in the correct spot, he really wouldn't have taken a whole lot of damage there, as MaNa finds that prism too, blinks into his own pocket expand. Will probably end up losing a pro. Nope, not even that, as he kills one of these adepts immediately, walked in his own safety adepts already. I mean, the only thing that could really hurt MaNa now, I'd say, is that Dark Shrine, but MaNa saw it, obviously. Yeah, he was pretty much right next to it, and yeah, he's already getting a cannon and whatnot. Now, MaNa is absolutely flying here in game 1. Got a little bit dicey after that adapter rest, but blinking into the pocket expand and just going straight into the main. And I loved how decisive he was. He didn't stay at range. He's like, oh, this could be scary. Nope, he saw a couple of units by themselves. He's like, hey, that means Krystianer doesn't know I'm here. Blinked forward again, which could be painful, but in this case, it worked out in a brilliant manner because Krystianer's blink wasn't even done yet. So the units from the natural, they took a little bit longer to show up in the main.
Yeah, now the DTs are going to go to make their play. And I mean, it's just like you think about the opportunities here. MaNa has the watchtower. He had that vision on the top side. The cannon is going to help. Easily able to deflect that DT.
Hey, this is actually kind of sad for Krystianer, though, and I don't really understand why he didn't at least try in the third base, because there was no cannon there yet, and he's got an observer on top of it. He didn't see an ops. The only cannon, the only bit of detection on the map for MaNa was that one cannon in his natural. MaNa just dodged a massive bullet. 1DT is still going to get a couple of shots up in the main base, but if Krystianer would have just sent 1DT into the third base immediately, he would have already gotten a lot of damage there, and he could have known because he had vision.
So MaNa coming up straight to the natural, immediately focus firing down the shield battery. All of the stalkers are at the third base for Krystianer. So once again, having to fight without the defensive setup, and MaNa's just going to blink and chase, so he can get the overcharge and try to use that to leverage a little bit. Warps in a few stalkers, but there is no charge yet. So really the best tool that he has to help is the Dark Templar. Just going to get a few hits in, but just one on its own is not going to be enough to turn the tide. GG is called, and MaNa takes game number 1. I think he also had some units in the natural of Krystianer picking off probes while that was happening too.
I think that towards the end, if I saw that correctly, and I'm just going to confirm that, MaNa is hitting us with a good old MaNa stare. Krystianer tried to blink back towards his battery, And while he was running away from all the stalkers of MaNa, he actually shot a full volley at one of his own stalkers. He didn't kill it, but he dealt a lot of damage. Obviously, that's not going to help if you're trying to turn things around. But I think at that point, he was pretty much dead already. The only thing that could have helped him, and I gotta give kudos to MaNa because he was very quick to pick off that one DT that tried to run into the main base, that was for a brief second revealed by that cannon. If that DT sneaks in the main and the other one goes into the third base, MaNa is actually in serious trouble because his robo wasn't quite done yet, and then you cannot mine off 2 out of 3 bases. So obviously, amazing job by MaNa making sure that he prevented that one DT from running into the main base. And unfortunate for Krystianer, and definitely a bit of a slip up that he didn't try in the third base. Because, mate, you had vision. You had an observer sitting there. You saw no ops of MaNa. You've killed the oracles already, and there is no cannon there. So not at least trying, that seemed like a mistake to me.
Yeah, difficult to be like, okay, this is the only thing I have to try and get back in the game. But it's also something that's on a clock. So even if you feel like the opportunity might not be there, it's not like the opportunity ever comes back. You know, because he didn't have the robotics facility at first. He did lose the Oracle. So there certainly was that vulnerability like you were talking about. But just, yeah, I don't know, nerves, hesitation coming into it. And this man in the top right gets to start off 1-0 in this best of 3. Ladies and gentlemen, he is Team Liquid's MaNa.
Big win for him, and overall just a very pleasant game, having such a good start with those oracles initially. This man in the bottom left side is now up with his back up against the ropes. He really got a bit unfortunate at multiple moments in Stargazers. Time to forget about it and see if we can bring it back on Inside and Out. This is Blazer Esports Krystianer.
Yeah, so I feel like if you're MaNa, I mean, everything kind of went, it wasn't like the smoothest. There was a lot of poking and prodding and back and forth, but we're on Inside and Out. So probably the biggest thing to point out in terms of differences in these maps is A, you don't have the watchtower covering the most direct path. There are no watchtowers, but B, you have the ramp into the natural. And Roddy, I think in PvP, sometimes we see that lead to those 1-gate expand builds coming up a little bit more. So how do you feel that shakes up with what we're getting out of here in this game?
Well, I have the feeling that this is kind of what MaNa wanted to play, since MaNa vetoed Cosmic Sapphire and Moondance, and I have the feeling this is not quite what Krystianer wanted to play, because he vetoed 2 of these maps. I thought it was Inside and Out, but then I guess it was Waterfall and... what else did we have with a ramp? He must have vetoed Waterfall and maybe Tropical Sacrifice or something among those lines. So yeah, MaNa should be loving this life. Like, this should be what he wants, and Krystianer is kind of blind countering it. Do you see it? He just blindly assumes that MaNa is indeed going for that pylon on low ground, gateway on the low ground, because he does it very often, and he will proxy the robo as quickly as possible. But MaNa has a zealot out, and if that zealot immediately gets on top of the robo, I mean, MaNa is just off to an absolutely flying start here in game 2 as well.
Yeah, this would be devastating, and he's headed straight for it. So great scout, great read. What's the play here? Just go for the pylon, depower it, and just make it so he can never use it?
Yeah, I would definitely go for this pylon, and there's a good chance that Krystianer is going to bring the pro back, build another pylon. But MaNa right now, you can even just play Phoenix Gateway from here on out. Like, you don't have to expand, because you know your opponent has already committed. This is a big commitment. And as painful as it is for Krystianer, I actually think the best choice for him would have been to cancel this robo altogether. He's not going to do that. He's going to try to repower it. 2 adepts are going to show up, and now there is a stalker in the mix as well. And MaNa should be able to get another kill on this pylon. Is he going to let the pylon finish? Yes, he does. But yeah, that's just not going to live very long. The stalker will have more than enough DPS.
And he's building so many. He's building all these pylons. Roddy, he couldn't even afford to start whatever it was he wanted to build out of it. So kind of a progressively frustrating spot to be in. Krystianer has a lot of gateway units rolling up on this spot now, but
Krystianer needs a battery, Nate.
Take advantage of it yet.
Krystianer needs a battery. He may assume that MaNa's going to counter this with a Robo or with a Void Ray. I believe, yeah, he did see the Stargate, so he's probably expecting Void Ray first, but it's not Void Ray first. So unless we have Stalkers in our main base, which we don't, we are just in all sorts of trouble once more. and this really is almost game-ending damage, man. Krystianer is gonna have to win this game in the next minute. If he doesn't, he loses this very important best of 3 all-2. He has already lost 9 workers. He knows it. This is as bad as it ever gets. And the only thing that MaNa needs to do right now is, I would say, build another battery, man. You're so far ahead. Why wouldn't you, Nate?
Yeah, it gives me a little bit vibes of that series against Max Pax where we're talking about it. He had the Void Ray set up. He just didn't want to build the batteries in large enough numbers at first, but you're spot on. It's 25 to 15 probes. So
and 2 base against 1.
Yeah, and 2 base against 1 exactly. So the Adepts do get into that main base. There is a shield battery here, but they pulled back, and there's not really anywhere for them to go because he ran the Prism away to avoid the Void Ray. So as long as there's just 1 Adept, then that big catastrophic damage potential is gone. He'll shade over to get evac'd, but again, it's not really what he needs. He needs to do a lot more damage.
Yeah, it's just a disaster for Krystianer. He's going to try to whip in a few more Adepts, and actually don't hate this play. If I think of all the plays that could potentially work, yeah, this is maybe one of them. You can leave 2 Adepts in behind in the main base. This is really sweet, man, because the Stalker attack in the front would have never worked. Expanding, we are too far behind, so he needed something a bit different. And these 4 Adepts, well, he just increased his chances from almost 0 to maybe 5%. As he does let this Adept Shade finish up as well. And he actually has taken the worker lead. The biggest problem is that it's still 2 bases against 1 with a robot that's out on the map. But I thought that was a very smart move by Krystianer.
He's making the most of what he's got available to him. And I really like to see that because, of course, the Void Ray feels like it has to be that crucial piece to defend the frontal assault, especially since MaNa knows that there's no natural. He has a probe chilling there. So it's like you don't really want to invest into something like a Phoenix to try and chase that Prism down because the Stalkers are also going to shepherd it. But the Oracle gets caught and picked. So nice grab there for Krystianer.
But the Void Rays are going for that Prism. That's a crazy move. He does get it, but he loses 1 of 2 Void Rays. I don't even know if that's good enough. Because now, Krystianer knows that he needs to win the game right here, right now. It's all going to come down to the overcharge. We only have 1 Void Ray at the moment. 2 Stalkers are going to get picked off. Like, I can't believe that this game got exciting after the start we had. Krystianer is still on the clock. He knows it. MaNa is waiting with his overcharge, and he did buy enough time for Void Ray number 2. And that is pretty big, but the fact that we have excitement here, Nate, is pretty wild. Because Krystianer was dead 2.5 minutes ago, mate. Like, ultra dead.
Yeah, it did not seem like there was any hope that this could possibly work, but he's got a lot of Stalkers and has the Prism back again as well, so he can try to do a little bit of micro towards the front if he needs to. And that wall, it's like he's just in this poke phase, but the key thing here for MaNa, he just needs as much time, right? Just continue to reinforce. Krystianer still has not expanded. He is all in for all intents and purposes. This has to do it for him.
He's going to drop the Adepts in the main base 1 more time. Stalkers will reveal themselves in the natural. The Stalkers should actually go for the batteries here. I think that's the play. When you see that the Void Rays are out of position, I would really go for these batteries. And I think chipping away at the gateway is not the most important thing, because once more, time does not work in your favor. Krystianer is able to get the Adepts into the main base 1 more time. Void Ray number 3 comes out. Get the batteries, Krystianer. If you don't go for the batteries, I don't think you ever win this game. As he does get a lot of damage on a Void Ray, and he kills a Void Ray. That's magnificent for Krystianer. But is it good enough?
Yeah, it's continuing to push that front like you were saying. The Stalker count getting dwindled a little bit, but there's the overcharge being popped now. The Void Rays are going to come over and prismatically align. So Krystianer, if you feel like you have to step back here, try to get another, I guess, warping round through. He's building another probe as well. So he's kind of, he's got more than he needs to saturate his base at the moment. So that's been, I don't know if that's just the stress of the situation kicking in here, but he is going to get that next warping round through.
Oh, he's going for the Stargate.
Starting to kill the Stargate.
Yeah, that's big, because now there's only 2 Void Rays, 4 Stalkers against 16 Stalkers. MaNa is forced against that gateway as well. The cybernetic score is potentially even going to fall here. 1 more Void Ray falls, and it's unbelievable. Krystianer is starting to do this, man. He had such a terrible start, but it all started with the 4 Adepts in the main base. This is a magnificent comeback, as he has good target fire there as well. Picks up that Stalker, man. To play a game like this with your tournament life on the line, literally, even if it's round robin, that is great. And MaNa will absolutely be kicking himself for this game. Probably can't believe it. But Krystianer has done it. We are going into a game 3. And that's crazy, man. That is crazy.
Absolutely wild. GG as MaNa taps out, and that is like that reminds me so much of the Goblin versus Max Pack series. It wasn't a proxy robo, he just four-gated him, but it looked just like that. The stalkers pressing the front so much, and once you get enough of them, even with the shield batteries, you think, okay, that's really good. The ramp, that's really good, but if you have enough stalkers to one-shot the Void Ray and punch through the shield battery, even with the overcharge, it just turns into the numbers game, and he did a really good job with that. So we go to Tropical Sacrifice for the deciding game, and because we've been talking about this all series, Kev, but another map with the ramp into the natural. So if you're MaNa, do you play that fast expand style and just say, I'll definitely hold it this time? Or do you maybe keep it a little bit more honest, because Krystianer might just bring that pressure again, that all in, I guess?
It's actually a very good question. Normally, even if you lose with what you like, I wouldn't say don't suddenly change it up, right? Because this is still what you practice and this is what you feel comfortable with, and everybody can lose a game. That's okay. But he now lost a game where he had by far and away the best possible start ever. You get a scout, you get a kill on the pylon, you get a kill on the second pylon, and then an oracle flies into the main base that kills 9 probes, I believe it was 8 or 9 probes, and a lot of lost mining time. Like, if we can still lose that game, we can clearly lose any game with 1 gate fast expand against Krystianer. So that may actually put some fear into his mind. Like, I cannot emphasize enough on how far ahead MaNa was in that game too, Nate. That was supposed to be super over. Every pro game will tell you it's over. And you could really see, even if it's dark, Krystianer popped off after he won that game. I think he smashed his desk out of happiness, because that is such a big win for him. And that means that both these guys will still have everything to fight for here in game 3. It is do or die. If they lose, they are pretty much out of the tournament. In the top right side, we're looking at the main base of the veteran. He's obviously been here before. Can he still close out this best of 3 representing Team Liquid? This is MaNa.
His opponent bringing it back with the very aggressive proxy robo. Can he close it out and keep his tournament hopes alive? He has Krystianer. Yeah, definitely cause for a little bit, you know, Roddy. I think one of the other things that we were talking about with Zombie Grab, I don't know if you specifically mentioned this, but the maps. All right, we're talking about keeping that plus, whether it turns into the going again up to the head-to-head. But if you get down to these final stages, even if you get the win, the 2-0 is so valuable compared to that. So the pressure just feels like it's at the absolute maximum peak. Even if you do win this series, it is a journey ahead.
And Krystianer is going for pylon gateway on the low ground. But Nate, I've seen him do this before. I obviously see him play a lot. I play against him every now and then, and he's always active in the weekly tournaments as well. More often than not, when Krystianer goes for pylon gateway on the low ground, he's actually not expanding. He just wants you to believe that he's expanding. He wants you to believe that this is a normal game, but then he's still going to hit you with some sort of an all-in, and losing the probe is actually big, man, because Krystianer is that tricky player, and you don't just want to lose your probe against the Zealot. There's a good chance that MaNa's a bit flustered, man, and that he's really upset over that previous game, because that's also not supposed to happen.
Yeah, it reminds me, I think it was on this map. I'm going to keep referencing it because it's kind of similar to this series, but in Goblin Max Pack, he took the Nexus and then canceled it once the probe was gone. So you don't even necessarily have to do the fake, but we will see where he wants to take it, as he's still blocking MaNa's natural. And that Zealot is going to turn around and try to get up close, but the Stalker will finish and he'll be able to do whatever he wants. But either way, they both got Stargates finishing at the same time.
Krystianer
so
Phoenix,
get a little
maybe?
bit awkward.
You think Krystianer is going to go Phoenix here, Nate?
He sees it. I don't see why not. Right? Just shut it down, or either that or he thinks he can get a Stalker to defend and just get damage on the other side. But he's moving out, so I don't know. I guess your guess is as good as mine. He's okay with losing some probes, maybe?
Yeah, well, it's going to be Oracle against Oracle, but MaNa's probably going to be forced to use his Oracle defensively, and his first Stalker is in a horrible spot. MaNa's Stalker is away from the natural. This is big. Oracle's going to fly into the 2 Stalkers as well, but MaNa is down a unit here, so he's absolutely forced to use the Oracle defensively, which means he's still going to get less scouting, but the 2 Stalkers still have a lot of potential. The 2 Stalkers of Krystianer get the kill, The Zealot of MaNa did win the fight, but Zealots don't have micro-potential. Stalkers do. We have a fresh HP Stalker spawning for MaNa, and that's going to keep him safe. But don't forget that he's still down an Oracle, and does he have a shield battery in the main base? He doesn't! MaNa does not have a battery in the main base. Oh my goodness. This series is falling apart for Team Liquid's MaNa.
He's recalling, trying to get it back into the main to defend the workers as fast as possible. But I think if you're Krystianer, you just keep clicking on the probes, get as maximum damage as you can through this, because unlike the previous game, he has that Nexus. He did actually expand behind this. He's not committing to having to end it. So for MaNa, you're not really in that, okay, take some damage and hang in there. Now you're just straight up behind.
Yep, and the worst thing I think perhaps is that the Twilight Council got revealed immediately as well. So now Krystianer already knows about that. If you want to go for a quick Dark Shrine, that is obviously not going to come as a big surprise. Krystianer, his 8 workers ahead in game 3 after being on an absolute lifeline in game 2. MaNa, his second Oracle, is going to try to get lucky, but the only thing it gets is a single worker, I believe. And he does go for the good old when behind go Dark Shrine. Krystianer, his second Oracle, also just gets a single worker. Now, it would be very bad news if Krystianer does lose his Oracle, because then he won't see the Dark Shrine, and he may just count on the... Oh, look at that! MaNa's going for a Phoenix! Oh my god, I love that, Nate, because that Phoenix could potentially kill that Oracle of Krystianer, and that would mean that Krystianer has absolutely zero detection. But it seems that the Oracle of Krystianer is going to scout it. I think the idea of the Phoenix here is super smart. Will the Oracle see the Dark Shrine? It doesn't see it yet. Can you believe that?
No, he does not have vision, and that the stasis trap actually also gets picked off before it can finish. So potential big play here from MaNa, since the Oracle did stick around as long as it did. That, okay, there's the recall saying, I cannot afford to lose this. And because on some level, Krystianer has to ask, like, why would you go for the Phoenix when right when you do have the Stalkers and you have a shield battery?
Well, MaNa's Oracle is chilling in the bottom side of the map, and Krystianer does have a Forge, but that's still his only bit of detection. MaNa warps into DTs at home. These 2 Dark Templars are going to run to the other side of the map. There is no shield battery in the natural for Krystianer to potentially heal up Stalkers, right? If they are trying to create a force field, the Robo gets built right where the DTs will warp in. Nate, this is actually crazy, man. With how important this game is and this series is, the fact that this is happening is crazy. Can we keep the DTs out? Here come the invisible boys. There is 1 Oracle. Where is that Oracle? It's still chilling in the natural, and it hasn't dropped a revelation yet.
And so the DT goes into the naturals, immediately starts to kill the probes. There's the revelation, and it actually just immediately runs out. So that was kind of the bait DT. The rest of them, 7 probes picked off thanks to this bad boy. 6 kills in the main, and says, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get out, but recalls as soon as he gets revelated. So basically churning through the energy of the Oracle. Now, the other side of this, he does have the Stalkers blocking the entrance back into the natural. The robotics facility is done, so he can get out an observer. It doesn't have to turn into this crazy situation. But at the same time, MaNa comes back with his Oracle. Big stasis trap in the main, and he's going to get a huge number of probes frozen in time.
I love it, man. This is actually a beautiful PvP where only 7 minutes have gone by. But I feel like we could write a short novel about this game, because this really had a lot of twists and turns. Now, MaNa is still on 2 bases. Krystianer is on 3. Krystianer still has a 4 worker lead. But it seems that MaNa is potentially gearing up for a very, I want to say a big 2-base play, but he's got a few too many workers for that, so I don't know. I actually think it would have been sick there to maybe activate Pulsar Beam and try to kill the battery, as Krystianer is now going to get aggressive in the natural of MaNa, as one of the Immortals was not firing, so MaNa is going to lose power to these gateways for a split second. Krystianer, do you really want to go for those Immortals? You don't have to. It's 3 bases against 2.
That was a little bit intense. I mean, you get the D power, and all of a sudden you're like, okay, my production's just been cut. But he did have 2 Immortals. I think you make a great point. The one of them was just not really there. It was on the other side of the Robo chilling. That gets the revelation and sees, okay, well, you've got a 3rd base that is up and running and mining. So for MaNa, that pressure is going to continue to mount as he's starting his 3rd when his opponent has his 3rd fully saturated.
Yep, the Phoenix and the Stalker can actually kill this Oracle. Krystianer's gonna try to blink into the main base, but didn't he just use Recall? Am I crazy? Krystianer just used Recall, which means his army is kind of stuck, and a lot of these Stalkers are low on HP. He's actually getting a pretty decent trade, though, because he's actually avoiding the Immortals, and now he can still blink out, but he doesn't really know where the Immortals are. He's probably kind of concerned that he's gonna blink into the natural. That's where the Immortals are, Nate. What on
you
earth
chose
is happening?
Poorly.
What?
thought he was playing 300 IQ. Accidentally went for the -5 on that one, and is going to get hit with another stasis trap on some of the probes mining gas in the main. And Roddy, I thought that like this economic situation was going to get really ugly for MaNa, but he has gotten everything rolling his way since that point. So. And you think about it too, he's got a lot of Immortals. He's got 4 Immortals.
He's got
plus 2 attack is on the way. This could be a really devastating push. And even the Archons, charge lots are not going to bail Krystianer out of this.
Yeah, the only thing I think that's stopping MaNa from attacking is that he only has 4 gateways. Maybe he feels that 4 gateways is not quite enough, but his army is actually very powerful. Krystianer is also just being relentlessly aggressive. He's going up to 4 bases, but he's like, you know what? I'm not stacking up. He is stacking up, so I should just go again. And yeah, maybe the 8 gateways of Krystianer can come in handy here. Archons are godlike, especially near batteries versus all the Zealots, but utilizing the Prism and then like using the mobility of your army, the speed of your army, the gateway advantage, that might still indeed be the play for Krystianer. As here we go, 4 Zealots get dropped, 8 Zealots get warped in, but we warp in DTs defensively. That's smart, my MaNa.
Really love the defensive Dark Templar. They also blocked the pathing, so the Zealots could not charge. Even if he tried to just sacrifice them and right-click on probes, was not going to get through there. And this is where MaNa's keeping his cool, calm collectedness, that experience really paying off. He's been in crazy situations like this before, but he is definitely working for this one. We can say that.
I don't understand why Krystianer is not dropping a Templar Archives, man. Like, he has had a decent amount of time right now to drop it, and he could just match the Archon count. I know his gas count at the moment is only 3, but he could have easily taken gas 4, 5, and 6. While this is happening, queue those probes up, saturated, and before you know, you do have 5 Archons, and then you have the base advantage. Can he find that Prism? That's gonna stop MaNa from attacking. Oh my goodness, this game is the gift that keeps on giving. Both players are 1 and 3 in their group, but they need a victory here. MaNa does cancel that Nexus. Krystianer, if he stays on Zealot Stalker, I mean, if MaNa attacks him with like 5, 6 Archons, which is what he currently has, I don't see how Krystianer wins the fight. But perhaps Krystianer doesn't plan on ever fighting, and he just wants to make sure MaNa can never move out. I don't know, Nate.
I'm going to blink around your base until the end of time. And he's going for the annoying fly strategy. So he's basically just saying, MaNa, you should just aim move everything you have across the map and try to turn this into a very awkward base trade. But by keeping him pinned back like this, it's just so awkward because he's got the 4th base. So Krystianer, a little bit lower level as far as the tech is concerned, but he's got the money to keep throwing units in MaNa's face, and it really is turning into that endurance match.
Yeah, he is taking another gas now, and he has already taken 1 more. The only thing that's missing for Krystianer to guarantee victory here, I'd say, is 4 or 5 Archons as he misrallies a couple of units on the top side. Oh my goodness, man. You can really see that the pressure are getting to these guys. They are making a couple of mistakes you don't expect them to make. MaNa has honestly played a great game from behind. Krystianer is just crazy aggressive as he does find 1 more today. He blinks into the natural again. Does he have recall, Nate? I feel like he already used that. No, he does have recall again this time around. But that's a lot of units to throw away. Like, MaNa's army supply is bigger, and Krystianer is rich, but he's really not that crazy rich, man.
I mean, it's just an absolutely ludicrous approach to the game from Krystianer. That he will literally not give MaNa 20 seconds to figure out what his next move is going to be. And this was the inevitable outcome. He's just going to send the everything, and he has that Prism this time around. We thought that he might have tried to make this push a little bit earlier, but you do want to have that Prism. And Krystianer is going to say, yeah, you want to do that? Fine. I'm going to kill everything, and we can play a proper base trade situation.
This feels like a final, mate. This feels like the final of a tournament. It's round robin. We are just going to base raid. Krystianer has a lot of bases, but does not have the army to fight the army against MaNa. Don't forget about the Observer battle. There are still potential for DTs to make some plays, as MaNa actually trapped 2 of his own Archons in his natural, so they couldn't join the move out. Krystianer should definitely try to get on top of those. Stalkers are not the greatest units in a base trade scenario, as they do find these two Archons. Poor Archons, Nate. They were too fat to make it through the choke.
Overcharge me! Well, this is just such a difficult spot to beat. Krystianer has that base in the bottom side, too.
Yeah. He's recalling, but he actually left 2 Immortals and a Stalker behind. That is kind of big. MaNa is down to 1 probe. Krystianer still has 21 workers. MaNa, his Nexus in the natural is potentially going to fall. The Oracle does reveal that base that you just mentioned, Nate.
That Prism is flying over one Stalker. He lost the Prism. Krystianer did.
Very big. Very, very big. All right, 76 army supply against 65, but I think everybody likes the 65 army supply a bit more. 5 Immortals, 4 Archons, 2 Immortals are kind of trailing behind. Will Krystianer blink forward? It'd be a mistake. It'd be a mistake. He's going to go for it. Why are the other Archons? I only see 2, but 2 extra Archons show up. One Prism Micro. I like this fight a lot for MaNa, Nate.
Yeah, this is where that long-term payout for all the Immortals comes into play, because base trades, you know, Roddy, I love them. Probably some of the favorite situations that you can get into when you're playing this game, but having 5 Big Daddy Immortals against pure Stalker, your army will not lose. Krystianer's only hope is to do this run-around strategy and try to kill every building. And to his credit, he's been able to make that the situation thus far. He has 24 workers. He still has a couple of bases that he can use. And MaNa has a single probe and no money. So as soon as that probe dies, that's it. It's over. And I don't even know where it is.
It's in the bottom side of the map. Yeah, all the way in the bottom side. Krystianer is stuck. He blinks. He kills the Prism. That's nice. It reduces some micro potential. But he is going to pay a very hefty price for it. That is a lot of Stalkers going down. And he blinks into a stasis. MaNa, 384 IQ stasis trap. Now has all the time in the world. There's a couple of Stalkers and Zealots now running into the natural. Like, Krystianer wants to win this game by eliminating MaNa. The problem is that he doesn't really have a big army anymore. That Prism that you mentioned, Nate. Yeah, no, these Stalkers are stuck, mate. All of them are going to go down.
What a crazy way for it to go. And I think now the Stalker count for Krystianer, he's only got 10. I think MaNa could he can protect his buildings and just move the Immortals out.
Like, and even worse, Krystianer lost all his detection and MaNa still has a DP. So Krystianer is now forced to rebuild his robo. I think this game is over. MaNa had 1 probe for the last 2-3 minutes in this game, but he had a terrifying army, and Krystianer just got a little bit too reckless. Man, what a best of 3 this was. Oh, I love it.
You said it, Kevin. It feels like we're watching a grand final with the level of play that we're getting out of both of them really elevating, because they want to get out of this group. They want to continue to compete and push for it so bad, but only one can come out on top. There's the overcharged battery. Gets targeted down. 5 Immortals still standing strong in this base. The probes come off the line, and it is not going to be enough to deal with MaNa's force. GG, well played comes out, and MaNa from Team Liquid will take the dub.
And did you see that reaction from MaNa? He is over the moon. Yeah. He's loving it. That 1 probe W, mate. Wow, that was a best of 3.5, man. An absolute roller coaster of emotions for both of these